I'm Jeff Brandis, and welcome to Heart and Mind Mondays, where we take the most challenging day of the week to set your heart and mind up for success. I am so excited to introduce to you today our guest of success. She is a radio talk show host, a TV personality, a comedian, an award-winning author, and an award-winning wine edutainer, as she likes to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you our guest of success for today's Heart and Mind Monday, Laurie Forster, the wine coach.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Laurie.
I'm speechless. It's an amazing introduction.
You have a lot to live up to.
I know, it's a little scary.
All right, we're going to dive right into it because that's what we do here on Heart and Mind Mondays.
And cheers to Monday morning.
Cheers. You got to cheers. Anytime you have the wine coach on, you got to cheers,
Exactly.
right? Here's to you. All right. As a mindset and success coach, I always deal with passion. You know, I live my passion. I love what I do. I do what I love. So right away, we're going into it. You're the wine coach.
Yes, I am.
Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? I guess if I would give you the sort of standard answer, I would say, my tagline, which is to demystify wine one glass at a time, make wine fun and approachable, and really just allow everybody to enjoy wine. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to study it on hours. It can just be a really fun, simple process that's just like tasting food. But over the last 10 years, and my business has evolved, you mentioned, I'm doing some comedy now and incorporating that with wine tasting. I think really, like if you want to boil it down, it's just to see how people have more fun. I mean, that's really the essence of what I'm trying to do. And wine happens to be part of the vehicle of making that happen.
I like your approach. I always get the feeling that people can be very intimidated when they go to wine tastings, or they just don't have that knowledge, or it always seems to be like an upper class kind of party,
right?
That kind of thing. So you're coming at it at a more casual angle to kind of make people feel comfortable and they can learn about wine, and you don't have to be how else do I say, with the upper class.
Yes, you don't have to have grown up with the silver spoon.
Right.
Balloon. I only got a sip here.
Not to say there's anything wrong with being in that upper class.
That's amazing.
And having those, very educational wine classes where you learn, the tops of the trade, so to speak. But
most of us Americans didn't grow up drinking wine at the dinner table, and that's why it does seem, as you first get into it, more intimidating. In Europe, people are so comfortable with it, and it's just like salt and pepper. It's no big deal. It's wine. And you don't feel like you have to know a lot about it. Here, because we feel like, it was always part of the wealthy upper class in the sort of foundations of our country, there just is that feeling. And so I always, whether it's a corporate event or it's my wine tasting comedy show or a fundraiser, I always, make the joke and I out myself. You've seen it that, I grew up in Jersey where wine came in a box and was usually pink. I drank more wine coolers growing up than I did wine.
Okay.
But,
I got teased for that too, by the way.
Exactly.
But I always told my buddies when we were drinking that kind of had a little bit more alcohol by volume.
Oh,
they would tease me.
Okay, more effective.
You're right.
More effective.
Not that that's the best thing in the world, but.
Yeah, so, that's my goal really, is just to see people have more fun, and I think wine and food and comedy are all things that come together because life is short, and we all work hard, there's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of, bills to pay and family issues, but when people come to me for that hour or 2 hours, whatever it is I have with them, I want to see smiles, I want to see laughter, and hopefully they walk out knowing a little bit more about wine.
Okay, you touched base on this briefly. I heard you during your answer. Now, you are the wine coach. You are the guru, okay?
Right.
The wine mentor. If
Yes.
there's anything to know, people can come to you and ask questions and find out. Now, how do you get your word out there? Like, who is your ideal client? And, you know, we talked about all the other passions that you have, like being a TV personality, you know, being on different guests on different TV shows or your radio show and that kind of thing. Kind of go over those little avenues that I touch base on. Let people know how you get it out there so they get to know.
Yes. Well, the Wine Coach is the name of my business. I trademarked the term. It is my brand, my overall brand. I have a great website, thewinecoach.com,
Okay.
wine articles and videos and all kinds of great resources for people who want to move to the next level wine-wise. I do have a weekly radio show on WBAL, 1090 AM.
And that's in Baltimore.
It is,
Okay.
yep. We broadcast in Baltimore, but really can be heard all over DC suburbs, Maryland, Delaware, and parts of Pennsylvania as well.
It even goes higher up the East Coast.
Yes, it is a pretty big station for the Mid-Atlantic. Parts of the show is also podcasts into iTunes.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that.
And so even if you miss the show or you don't live in my area, you can go to iTunes and just search The Sipping Point, which is the name of my show.
Okay.
And also parts of the show are broadcast through my app. I have an app for iPhone and Android. It's 100% free. And it has clips of the show, great wines to try, and videos, even some videos with my better half chef Michael, cooking videos and food and wine pairing. If you can't find it in my app, you can't find it. So
now, when you talk about bringing Michael into the equation and you do videos with him, where has that led you business-wise? Have you created anything?
well, we're working on a cookbook together. Our blog, joint blog, is called HeCooksSheWines.com. And it really is a great way. I mean, Mike is definitely the lead on He Cooks, She Wines because the recipes and the cooking is such a huge part. But I do add my, you know, wine pairing tips, you know, what should you eat with Chef Mike's recipes, you know, that's where I come in handy. And then we have videos where together we made some videos, or separate, Mike's telling you how to cook the perfect steak, how to pick out knives, all kinds of great resources. So those videos are accessible through my app. Weekly I do a newsletter, and that goes out to all my subscribers, and so people can subscribe to that at thewinecoach.com. And I
Any other websites?
No, that's my main site, thewinecoach.com, and everything kind of moves from there. And then events, I have tons of events. You just came and saw me out at 40 Vineyards, did my wine tasting comedy show.
Something to wine about.
Something to wine about. And yeah, so if you look
now
at
that involves your comedy, but you also do maybe straight-laced educational events too, right?
Yeah, none of, I would not call any of my events serious.
Okay.
Save that for someone else.
Well,
but,
stand corrected.
you know, I do wine tastings, wine classes, which are just really focused on the wine education. And then now I have my new show, which is Something to Wine About, which is wine education, maybe 20%, with entertainment being 80%. You know, stand-up comedy, I get the audience to participate, but we still taste some great wines and
there's some
have
drinking
fun.
going on.
Yes, exactly. Well, we call it tasting in the wine world. It makes it sound so much better. So I'm going to take, speaking of that, I'll take a little sip here.
Here, I'll take another one with you. Now, we're both entrepreneurs, and we've actually have shared mentors.
We have.
And we've actually been in a high-level mastermind group together. So it's not all hunky-dory.
No, of course not.
We go through times where we have anxiety and fear and doubt. You know, our vision of self isn't always at the highest level. Mm-hmm. You know.
Really?
I like to think so. Yeah. You know, I always think I'm up there. You know, but every now and then, you know, time slows down, and you kind of, you know, you go through those periods. For our audience's sake, for some education for them, you know, it could be something that's current. It could be something in your past. Is there anything that during a time period in your life as an entrepreneur that you would be willing to share with the audience that you just weren't at your best emotionally and mentally, but you did overcome it? And maybe something you went through, and maybe how you overcame it. I know it's putting you
You're
on the
getting
spot a
deep
little
on
bit,
for this Monday motivation, aren't you?
but that's how we conquer Mondays.
Yeah. Well, I heard a coach once say that having your own business is like the most expensive journey you'll take into personal development.
Okay.
So I think, for sure, when you start your own business, and especially the way our businesses are created, in many ways I am my business. It's me, it's, my take on wine, it's my opinions on this or that, or my comedy, right? And so it really is like putting yourself out there, and you feel like, the success of the business, or, how fast you might be attaining your goals or not, is a reflection on you. So there's always
That can be heavy.
Yeah, I find that to be, my husband will say, it's business, it's not personal. And I'm like, this is all personal.
Right.
It's all personal. But yes, it is business too. And so that takes, I think, over the course of the 10 years that I've had my business, it takes a while to, if you don't get something that you were going for, a job that you wanted, or something isn't received in the way that you expected it to.
When that happens, how do you handle it?
Absolutely.
When it happens, how do you handle it?
It's funny. I'd like to say that, I just put on a happy face and, get optimistic. But that's not really my process.
That probably does happen, but there's a gap.
Oh yeah, there's a gap.
Between
And Jeanette Barber, who is in a group that I'm in called Women on Fire, she's a comedian, has a radio show on Sirius XM, and she calls it, with her process, which is very similar to mine, she calls it swirling down the toilet bowl. So, you get into this like, oh my gosh, what just happened? This is terrible. Maybe I'm on the wrong track. Maybe I should just do something like this whole self-doubt, insecurity. And then I feel like, her thing is, you gotta swirl it down, get it all out, and then you can climb back out of there. And I think that's really how my process works.
And I would say having a mentor too, or not only a mentor. If you don't have one, that's okay too. But even though I always preach having a mentor, you have to kind of just sit back and realize that. Here's the way I look at it: failure, there's no opposition. Right. You can quit anytime you want. You can fail anytime you want. But when you're successful, there is lots of opposition.
Of course.
I mean, there's always a mountain to climb. So you know right away that when you're in business for yourself and you want to be the best that you can be, you will face obstacles. It's a no-brainer. So just already get that in your head. And that's what we're kind of talking about here, that it's going to happen. Now, how you handle it is the most important part. And that's why, as soon as you can get back up on the horse, so to speak, get back to believing in yourself. Because for you, I mean, I love comedy, but I don't know, I mean, I can stand up and talk to a crowd and motivate a crowd or do anything like that. But comedy is a little different because, if people don't laugh, I can just imagine, you're walking away like, man,
right,
that sucks, or I'm not good enough, or or anything like that. So to me, that would be the demons that you would battle with now that you've courageously have added comedy to the teachings of your wine. So
and in speaking, even speaking, for us, we do that so much, but even just getting up to speak in front of a group can be, terrifying for people.
You gotta get jazzed up.
Yeah, you gotta get jazzed up, you gotta get comfortable, and, I tell my daughter Michaela that when I was in school, I remember in elementary school, we had a project where you have to get up and do a presentation. And when I was in school, I mean, my whole body would shake. I could barely even do that, even as late as to like my first job out of college. So, but the more you do it, it's just like training, right? You just become more immune to the nerves. You harness that. You become comfortable, and so
more so when you're dealing with your passion.
Right.
Like if somebody gave me a report to give a speech on, my nerves and anxiety would build there. But for me to go and talk about the teachings of the heart and mind success system, it's a no-brainer. It's like I do it in my sleep. So right, and then you're up there. So that's the difference, I feel. when I'm up there speaking. So I guess it's the same. We all have demons to battle, but what an exhilarating feeling of victory when you overcome them. When you're like, I knew I could do it. I knew I could get up there on stage, and even though that last crowd didn't like me, this crowd did. And then it gives you more confidence, to create more jokes or, to go to that next level.
Right.
That kind of thing. So we all go through it.
We do. It happens.
What is your definition of success? What does that, when you hear that word, what does it mean? And before you give me that answer, I get a different answer all the time. This is why I love interviewing what I call successful professionals. So I'm very curious to hear your definition of success.
Success. I think it's such a multifaceted word that I don't know if there is one definition, because everybody's life has work and family and self, and so success as far as my business is concerned, or success overall? I'll ask a question with a question.
Whatever you want to share.
Yeah. I mean,
let's go business first. I
think with the business, it's to feel like I'm in the flow, like what I'm doing, I'm confident, I'm authentic,
okay,
and I'm having fun. That. Yeah, I'm having fun, because
if you're not, what's the point?
It's not. I know, that's how I feel. I just really feel like the more fun I have, the more money I make. So it's really about having fun, because when you're having fun, your audience, the people taking your classes, the people at your event, people listening to my radio show, they're having fun too.
So like the whole aura and energy that surrounds you and everyone that you're with, family and friends,
right, is
at its highest level.
Exactly. I think
that's great.
From a business perspective, certainly, yes, a business is about making money, so there is a financial objective here. I'm not a nonprofit organization, but definitely, yeah.
I've said that
people
many
like
times,
to think
right.
that, don't they? But that would be the business perspective. But I think, there's also a thing about having your own business that it can take over your whole life. It's like a whole...
And that can be a negative thing, too.
Yes, and so certainly success overall, includes balance,
I like that.
And self-care, and that's always a challenge, I think. For me, probably for most business owners, entrepreneurs.
What would you say your future vision of the wine coach is, or your future vision of you being a radio show host, or a TV personality, or do you have plans to perhaps write another book? I'm just throwing these out there kind of to spark your, something that will help you think of something, rather as I stumble over some words myself.
You're great. Maybe it's the bubbly.
It could be, I'll tell you. Everyone out there who does interviews should interview a wine coach.
Yeah, so you have to be here with us. I would say future vision, this year I'm touring with my wine tasting comedy show.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Lancaster on March 8th. I'm going to be in New York City on the 27th of March. So I'll be all over the country this year doing the show. That's going to really let me meet so many great people and just really see how the show evolves, because the audience becomes part of the show.
Okay.
And where I go, I'd like to take my radio show national, so certainly I want to bring it into other markets. That's definitely on the plan this year. And I would love to do, bring my wine edutainment to a TV medium for sure, whether that's guesting on more shows or having my own show. I think that'll just sort of develop. I'm just gonna, keep putting it out there and I think
see what unfolds.
See what unfolds. I've always said I want to be the Rachel Ray of wine.
Okay.
For lack of a better person to compare myself to, but what's great about Rachel Ray is that the hardcore culinary people might say, oh, she's not trained classically and this and that, but she's fun. She brings food and makes it entertaining for everybody, for the masses, and that's what I'd like to do
That's what you do now.
Yeah,
right.
I do it now, but you know, probably people in you know, Dubuque haven't heard of me, so I just got to get my message out there. And certainly, TV is a medium that allows you, and video for that matter, allows you to reach a lot of people and spread the joy. So that's what I see.
Spreading the joy. I love it.